My name's Courtney, and together with my husband Steve and our 2 dogs, we travel full-time in our 30-foot Airstream travel trailer around the country. Today, I'm going to talk about how to keep plants alive while traveling full-time. Now, while I've had plants in both our home before the Airstream and now in the Airstream, I would by no means call myself a green thumb. So these tips are coming from someone, beginner plant owners, to all of you out there. So don't think that I know what I'm doing. So my first tip is go with a hardy plant. If you're gonna be traveling full time and therefore your plants are going to be moving around both when you move your rig, also their environment's going to be changing, where the sun's coming in the windows because you're facing a different way, what the weather's like, what the humidity's like, all that's going to be changing. Go with a hardy plant. Don't go with a plant that requires perfect sunlight, that can be very picky. It's just not going to work real well in a travel trailer or RV. That being said, there are some things to help with the plants you do choose. So these are my main three plants that I have in our rig right now. They're all some form of succulent, which helps a bit with the traveling around. They're a little more hardy. And they're outside right now so that they can get some sun. It's gonna be 100+ degrees here today, but it's beautiful out right now. And there's nice gentle sunlight, and so I'm letting the plants get some sun, and I watered them this morning. So one of my tips is, if your plants can be moved outside of your rig, that can be really helpful in order to give them the sunlight they need. It can also help with watering them. Now, watering can be kind of difficult because right now we're in a really dry climate, but 3 weeks ago we were in an incredibly wet, humid climate, and the plants have to deal with changing from one to the other. In the humid climate, I didn't really water them much because they're succulents and they didn't really need it. Now that we're in the dry climate again, I have to start watering them again and keep an eye on their soil. A lot of that is just learning how hardy the plants are, what they need, how much sunlight they need, everything like that. But just keep in mind, unlike in a house where you might find the perfect spot for your plant where it loves it and it thrives, that's not going to be able to be the case in your Airstream or RV, since, like I said, the sun might be coming in through different windows, your temperature's going to change, your humidity is going to change pretty rapidly. If you were staying in one place for a long period of time, that's not the case. You can establish a routine and your plants can thrive in one area of your rig, but if you're moving around as much as we are, that you need to just keep an eye on them and be willing to move and change based on where you are. Speaking of moving and changing, when we're stationary, that's one thing. But what to do when you're actually moving your RV? Well, let me show you how I figured out how to secure my plants. I've tried a number of different ways of securing those potted plants while traveling. When we first started traveling, I had them in our sink, and I tried putting towels around them and floral foam, and it was a pain in the butt, and they almost always fell over, and I had dirt in the gray tank. Too much work. This actually works out great. And so what I've done is I put all 3 plants in a row between the couch, our little table, and my knitting bag, which is somewhat soft but hard enough and heavy enough that it's not going to move. Then, before we actually start moving the trailer, I move our footrest here to go right there. And so I've secured the plants nicely in this little area. If they do move, in general, they're going to move back to front, not side to side. And they'll hit either the couch or the knitting bag, both of which are soft. And so I've never had any issues with the plants falling over or getting damaged while traveling. In addition, by having them in the front of our Airstream, there's a lot less turbulence in the front than in the back, or at least we've been assured that. And so I put them as far forward as possible so that they had the least chance of having any troubles by falling over or anything like that. So this has worked out really well. I have seen other people actually make frames for their potted plants that hang on walls, that they can put the pots in and they're not going anywhere, so that they're nice and secure while they're traveling. That's another option. I'm sure you could even secure your potted plants to a cabinet or counter or something like that in some way. My number one tip with that would be make sure you can still move the pot. A frame is great, like a wooden frame to keep the pot in place, so that you can just take the pot out and move it like I do outside to do whatever you need to do with it, but have it secure once it's in its spot. That would be perfect, but I wouldn't secure the pot itself, since you will need to move it based on, like I said, where the sun is, how you're parked, climate, like that, everything like that. Another good idea that I just started playing with for Airstream's RVs while you're traveling full-time are air plants. Because air plants don't need to be planted, and they actually require very easy care. Like the other plants, you'll need to adapt how much you water them or mist them based on the humidity of the area you're currently in. But in general, they just require either a misting once a week or more than that, depending on the area, and sometimes a bit of a soaking. I think that's supposed to be every couple of weeks, once a month. It completely depends on the humidity of the area you're in. So you probably need to get to know your air plant. But this is a great option since this can be moved anywhere. It's really small, and I don't have to worry about the pot. I just put it in a seashell for now. So that's it on how to keep plants alive while traveling full-time in your RV. In summary, pick a plant that is hardy. Know that you're going to have to move it. So it's not going to be in one area of your rig all the time. You're going to want to move it for sunlight, for watering. In addition, you're going to have to change how often you water them based on the climate you are in. So everywhere from not watering certain plants when you're in super humid climates to watering once a week or every day on some plants when you're in super dry climates. It's going to be completely dependent on the plant you choose. In addition, figure out how you're going to secure the plants when you're moving. It could either be through some kind of framing system that's permanent that you can put the plant in and out of, or, like I do, find a way to easily secure it using what you already have, like I do between the couch and my knitting bag on the floor, so that you don't have to worry about the plant being damaged or anything going anywhere. Also think about outside of the box plants like air plants, which are kind of new and in right now. They could be great options for traveling life since they don't require a pot and so can be put almost anywhere and are much more flexible. If you have any suggestions for me, like I said, I am not a green thumb. I'm just happy to be keeping these plants alive. So anybody out there who is a green thumb, if you have any suggestions for me or for anyone else watching about keeping plants alive while traveling full time, we'd love to hear them. And that's it for this week. If you are interested in following our journeys across the country and any more tips and trips we might have, we'd love it if you'd subscribe to the channel. And we will see you next time with another how-to. Bye, guys.